If you only build random projects, you're going to stay a beginner forever. Most DIYers jump from one weekend project to the next, but never actually level up any skills. Real growth happens with a small handful of projects that teach you patience, accuracy, and problem solving. And after 15 years in the shop, I've figured out exactly what those projects are. And so today, I'm going to show you 10 projects that every woodworker should build at least once. So the first project that you got to build, well, that's a workbench. And for good reason. It's the place where everything else is going to take place. You're going to build on it, you're going to assemble on it, you're going to drill on it, you're going to cut on it, all kinds of stuff as you're learning and building. And the thing about it is, it can be as simple or as complex as you need it to be. The truth of it is that mine, well, it was simply just a 2x4 frame with a piece of plywood thrown on top for a long time. For a long time, that piece of plywood wasn't even attached. That's how simple and crude mine was. Eventually, I upgraded the top. I wrapped it in cherry and made it a little bit nicer, but the frame, it's still pine 2x because it does what I need it to do. And that's the beauty of the workbench, is you got a lot of options. Next up is a table saw sled. Nothing changes the game for a table saw the way that a sled will. And the things that you're going to learn when you build this sled are very important, mainly being accuracy, because at the end of the day, this thing has to be incredibly accurate. It needs to be within thousandths of a degree. So you're going to spend a lot of time dialing this thing in, but you're going to learn a lot along the way. And once you finally get it perfect and you use it and you nail that 90-degree cut, you're going to wonder why you didn't build it sooner. Next up, well, that's a cutting board. Cutting boards are essentially an initiation for the woodworker. And honestly, you're going to learn about glue ups, you're going to learn about food safe finishes, you're going to learn about different grain directions and different types of wood, you're going to learn about sanding and planing, and as a bonus, they make great gifts, or heck, you can even turn it into a side hustle. Now, stepping outside, a great project to look at are planter boxes. Now, what I love about these is that they don't have to be perfect. So they're great beginner projects, but also because they don't have to be perfect, it doesn't matter because they're being seen from the road. Typically people are not scrutinizing this. And then the other thing that's great is that my plants don't really care if my miter joints are perfect either. So again, you got lots of ways to be able to practice there. And because honestly, building a box can be a little bit harder than you think it is. And so what better way to practice all than on one that doesn't really matter all that much. Now, it also allows you to be able to play around with some different types of finishes, whether I'm gonna go with an outdoor type finish, whether I'm gonna paint it, whatever I'm gonna do there, gives you some options there as well. And it just adds a whole different element to your house, and it really kind of spruces things up. Speaking of that, another way to give your house a facelift is our next project, which are these shutters. Now, what I love about these shutters is, and my wife actually came up with this idea several years ago. We were kind of trying to determine what we wanted to use for shutters, and material can be expensive. We wanted something that was gonna be weatherproof, but we didn't really want like anything that was like treated up here. We wanted something that still looked kind of okay, that we could stain and would look okay after we'd stained it. So she came up with the bright idea of using fence pickets. So fence pickets, they're made out of cedar, which means that they're weather resistant. And so now I've got something that I can stain, I can build. And by the way, fence pickets are super cheap. So that's also a huge benefit. So if you ever thought about building these, this is a great project to do because it teaches you a lot of repeatability, which is huge. And then you really are able to batch out. You can batch out probably your whole front of your house in an afternoon and then begin kind of putting things together. I would recommend throwing some glue here if you build them similar to this. But we honestly just shot these together with some nails that are also, you need to use nails that are stainless or something that's not gonna leave any kind of marks with the weather and things like that. And then we just attach them into the brick with some Tapcons there. And then honestly just took a little bit of stain there, or I can't remember if she took stain or she may have took a Sharpie, one or the other, and just kind of colored in the head because for some reason Tapcon heads are blue and they kind of stick out. But again, great projects to look at. Next, we got coasters. Coasters seem small, but that's what makes them the perfect low stakes learning project. They are similar to a cutting board, as you're going to learn about glue ups and things of that nature. And you're not also limited to having to stay within food grade finishes. You can kind of explore a lot of different finishes along the way. And honestly, unlike that pile of scrap that's over there in the corner, you're actually going to use these when you're done. Next up is a coffee table. Coffee tables are going to be kind of the first real furniture type project that you actually build. And for me, I got lucky when I built mine because the whole farmhouse shabby chic thing was in. And so it didn't really have to be perfect. We painted a lot of it. And so I got a lot of benefit from that as I was learning along the way. But You can do this however you want to do it. You can paint it, you can stain it, you can leave it natural, you can try different types of joinery. The big thing is you want to build something sturdy. That's huge. And then also at the end of the day, you want something that looks good when it's sitting in your living room, because it is going to be the centerpiece of your living room. It's going to be that thing that when you get done and you look back at it, you're going to go, man, maybe I can actually build some furniture. Next up, we got bookshelves. Now, bookshelves are kind of sneaky because they seem like they ought to be simple, but honestly, they're a little more complicated than you might think. First of all, you're going to have to figure out how wide is my bookshelf going to be and how far can I go without having too much sagging happen. And if I'm trying to build a wider shelf, what do I need to do to support that, to prevent that sagging? Whether that's going to be, I'm going to make a chunkier shelf out of it. Maybe I'm going to laminate two pieces together. Maybe I'm going to put a faux front on it sideways to give it some strength that way. You're also going to learn about adjustable shelving versus fixed shelving, and there's different times for each. And so you learn a lot when it comes to that. And then you're able to take that and level up that game even more and build like walls of built-ins. And that's huge when you're able to do that. And at the end of the day, if you get this right, man, this is going to be better than anything that you can build that's going to come with an Allen wrench and a kit. Next up, we got shaker style cabinet doors. I love shaker style cabinet doors because they're honestly fairly simple, because I don't have to do a lot of routing or anything like that. I can simply take 1x2s and I can take a center panel and I can make a door. And so you got a couple of rails, a couple of stiles, a center panel, and that's pretty much it. But you're also going to learn a lot about dadoing out the center. You're going to learn about how to make tongue groove joinery. You can do this even with a table saw. Even if you don't have those fancy bits, you can do it all with your table saw. So that's one of the things that I love about this. And then once you get this down, you can really change the look of your kitchen, your bathroom, anything like that. It's going to change the game for you for the rest of your woodworking life. Next up, we got a drawer stack cabinet. Now, a drawer stack cabinet is essentially just like a lower cabinet with a bunch of drawers. But you're going to learn tolerances. You're going to learn how to space your drawers out correctly. You're going to learn the joy or frustration of drawer slides. Personally, I prefer an undermount drawer slide. I find them to be less frustrating. But when you get all of this down, you get it figured out, and then you slide that drawer slide in, and it's soft close and it slides in like butter, there is nothing in woodworking quite like it. So there you've got 10 woodworking projects that every DIYer needs to build before you die. Now, my question is, what projects did I leave out that maybe I need to add to a part 2 video? Let me know in the comments down below.